prorated rent and security deposits, if there's a tenant in place, that should always be on there. Always. So you just check for that. And like I said, it can trigger other questions. If there's no security deposit and they say, oh yeah, we don't have one, then you say, wait, how do I not have a security deposit? Right? We've had that happen before.
The tenant one doesn't mean it's not on the lease. And if it's on the lease and they just don't have one, well, then the seller's got to cough that up, because otherwise you've got to cough that up later on down the road.
Exactly. So then you have your loan costs that I've seen. I've had clients reach out just yesterday. A client reached out and said, why do I have such high, why am I paying so many points? And I said, well, did you not tell the lender that you wanted to pay that many points? Well, no. And so just stuff like that, like just not being asleep at the wheel. So under loan costs, you have your points at the very top that you're paying if you wanted to, buy down the rate. You have loan processing fees and underwriting fees. Pretty typical, right? But just making sure, mostly the points, that's what you agreed to. So there wasn't an error that someone made.
And if the seller is paying points, it doesn't mean that they're not going to show up there. It means that you're going to have a credit for closing costs. And that credit is probably not going to show up as credit for points to buy down your interest rate. It's going to show up as a credit from the seller for closing costs. And it's just going to be a line item that offsets the points that you're paying to buy down the interest rate. They're still going to be there. And people get confused by that as well, because this gets into a little bit of accounting, right? You have certain areas that offset other areas, and you got to know what those are. Where those credits are.
That's a really good point, because I have clients say, well, why am I paying this? I'm like, oh, well, you see, there's a credit, right? Like it has to be paid by you because you're the borrower on the loan. Yeah, so it has to be on your side.
Make a note, as Heather said, that if you have on your documents that they gave you the security deposit when the tenant moves out, you have to give them back the security deposit. And you did get it. It's a line item. You didn't get a check. You didn't get to hold the money, but it's on the document, and that means you got it as a credit.
That's right.
Yeah.
And some property managers really want to keep that security deposit on their books, which can actually make a lot of sense, because they're on the hook to give it back. And say you spend the security deposit, and then the tenant moves out and they say to the property manager, hey, where's my security deposit? And they're begging the owner to send them the money. That puts them in a tight spot. So that I've seen it happen where you get the credit on the security deposit and then it goes back, and then the property manager says, okay, I need that back, like right away after closing. Or I've seen it that if the property manager is going to be the same property manager who's already managing, that they will just move the security deposit over in your name on their books. So
from the rent,
just
take it and put it over as a security deposit. So don't freak out if that happens.
Just ask the right questions. That's all.
Yeah, just understand how the money's flowing, right? They have to hold a security deposit. I don't think any of them that we work with, Heather, have the client hold a security deposit. So if you get it on the HUD, just know they're going to take it.
Yeah, they're going to ask for it back.
It's going to be it's going to be probably on your first rent. It's going to come out, which means you're not going to probably get any, but you did get it. It's on you got it in the HUD on the closing statement. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know if we flogged that horse enough, but that's important, because
that's
one of
super
the things
important.
That people miss most out of everything with respect to rental properties, investment properties. They miss that piece. So
I agree.
Important. I think the other thing too is make sure that the prorations are right for your taxes. Make sure that the seller is paying their share of the taxes. That's really important. Really important.
Yeah. True. I've seen it happen not very often. This doesn't happen often, but I've seen it happen where you pay for the appraisal on a credit card and then it's on the settlement statement as an appraisal charge. So not very common mistake, but still something just to breeze through it, go through every line and just make sure, like, wait a minute, did I pay for that already? And I'm being charged again for the appraisal, stuff like that. And then you have your title fees, which are pretty set in stone. There's not a whole lot you can do to affect title fees. I have on a refinance used the same title company, and I called that title company and said, hey, you handled title on when I purchased the property, I'm doing a refinance. And they said, oh yeah, we'll give you a 40% discount, because I asked. So there are like a couple times that you can affect title fees, but Typically, not really. Title fees are the title fees, unfortunately.
Yeah.